What is going on, everyone? AP over here, Run Pure Sports, bringing to you once again. We have our SaberSim show, our lineup builder show with our partners, SaberSim and Rubio and I, sporting the same hat, which you love to see. Obviously, our guy Big T graced us with some new swag. We also have a bunch of new swag. I know our guy T is going to be giving out stuff, these new hats and some of the gear that we have. So. I believe that show's coming up later. I'm sure if you guys are good viewers, you can talk them into getting you some swag. But Rubio, I was way wrong about the Jaguars as we were talking about before the show. Absolutely terrible, but it wasn't like as bad as a Monday as it could have been, and which was kind of insane. And a lot of that had to do with stacking up the Bengals and Commanders game. But Rubio, what's going on, my man? How are you doing on this fine Thursday?
Yeah, the Monday slate, until those two late touchdowns, it was looking like it was going to be a great day. But, it happens. It still was a great day on the Showdown front. Classic slate. Man, you talk about a really high-scoring two-game slate there. That was a lot of fun. I hope that we see the offensive fireworks tonight. That would be a great time to see. We get the Giants and Cowboys where last year there was a lot of points for one team. And maybe we see a little bit about both teams scoring this year. So I'm looking forward to this one. The Cowboys defense has not started off on the best foot here. And the Giants, well, we know what they are too. So I'm expecting a decent game here tonight.
Yeah, I tweeted out last season. If you're the Giants, you have to have this game or the two times that you play Dallas highlighted. They owned you last year. Absolutely owned you 89-17 is what Dallas outscored the Giants by last year. And look, I'm going to keep this up, Benair. And also, Benair, I'm going to need you to hook me up, taking my family out to New York right before Christmas. So going to catch a Knicks game. Really excited about that. But I digress. If you're the Giants, all the opportunity in the world is here. The Cowboys look terrible defensively. They've given up the most fantasy points out of every team to opposing teams, gotten absolutely torched on the ground week over week over week. Rubio, if I pull it up and I'm looking at running backs, you're talking the worst starting running back against them has put up 19 points. That was Ford. Henry smashed. Kamara obviously smashed. I don't know. This it's a short week too. I think we see an offensive explosion. Usually short weeks does bring in a lot of volatility. But Rubio, one thing we talked about, I think it was week 1 or week 2. It had to be week 1 doing these Thursday night slates, is the majority of games last season went over on Thursday. And usually we think about these games just being absolutely gross, defensive fest, field goals, whatever. But last season was not the case. So shout out to being there. Hopefully the Giants rebound. Any other thoughts on just this game before we get into our base build?
I really like this one because Aubrey's actually going to be a big talking point later on the show. Did you see some of the stats on Aubrey this season, AP? He'd be like the tight end number 1. He would be like the wide receiver, whatever. It is crazy. And so it is fun, too, when you look at the positional matchups page on the Run Pure Sports website where Stats does all this stuff for it. Basically shows you of how each team performs against each position and how their team performs for their position, right? The Dallas Cowboys, like you said, really bad against the run, but they are incredibly bad. They allow 7 points on average, more than even the next best team, or next worst team, I should say, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders. So you're just looking at a terrible run defense right now, and you got to hope that the Giants are able to kind of keep the ball on the ground with Singletary and provide a little bit of just punch with their runs, because like you said last year, when you lose 40-0 and then 49-17, you probably should have a chip on your shoulder. On the opposite end, the Giants are missing a few key defenders, especially in the secondary. So I do think you're going to see a little bit of scoring tonight. I hope that Dak gets it together. I think this is the ultimate CD bounce back game after kind of going off on Dak last time out, and he also fumbled inside the 10. I just think CD puts up a day against his secondary that's already down a couple key players.
Yeah, I agree with that. And just to add on to that, I'm taking my kids to school this morning, got NFL radio up, and got to listen to something. and got to make sure that the kids are exposed to sports. I mean, I got this guy on there is like sitting there like creating this argument to not play Malik Neighbors because of like a zone defensive scheme that the Dallas Cowboys run. I mean, if you go at 1, sign up for NFL Pro because it's the absolute stones. Dude, they're going to move Neighbors all over. Like his air yard share, target share is absolutely insane. I mean, it's blown almost every other receiver away in the NFL right now. So like if you're trying to talk yourself off of Neighbors because of some like defensive scheme, I think you're doing it wrong, especially like the Giants have probably the clearest defined target tree in all of football right now. And we wouldn't think that. We would think the Cowboys are the team with a clear and defined target tree. That's actually not the case, which is crazy. And obviously, we're going to dive into the numbers and build this out when we do our game script. But let's go over the base build here. What's a base build? We're just taking the average projections. I averaged RPS and SaberSim. We're running it using standard settings. We're sorting by projected score. So we're not adding any bias or scripts or anything like that into this. Naturally, we're getting a lot of Dak Prescott in our captains, followed by Singletary, Zeke. Ooh, man, Dusty. And then Dimes. I mean, the thing that I don't like in this base build, and we've had a few of these shows recently where the base build looked really good. I don't like the lack of receivers. Just on the surface, I haven't ran anything yet. I haven't built anything myself. It seems like a day where receivers going to be in the captain spot. What's your thoughts on this base build?
Yeah, I'm very high on receivers with you. Jake Ferguson and Zeke with that captain doesn't really line up completely, right? Like this is a base build, so we're not having run any sims yet or anything like that. But I'm with you. It's team wide receiver, especially on the Cowboys side of the ball today. And then on the Giants side of the ball, Darius Slayton's status is up in the air, and that could lead to more snaps for Jalen Hyatt, who hasn't really seen the field that much. You also have probably, I wouldn't say it's a huge bump to Neighbors for Mondale, but it certainly doesn't hurt. But yeah, I'd much rather have the receivers. And if you can you just give me another zoom in there just so it's not as hard to see real quick?
Yeah, my bad. I messed that up. When you're the one running this thing, it's a little bit more difficult. Is that good, or should I go one more time?
I would do one more just so everyone can kind of see a little bit better.
Whoops.
I was gonna say there we go. That's solid because now I can see the exposures too and stuff easily. Joseph, obviously the kicker. I do think it's a kicker slate, which I don't love, but when you have a guy who's just Mike McCarthy is definitely not afraid of just sending him out for 50 yarders like it's like it's just another play. Like Aubrey is just someone who is actually going to get a bump for me today. Like I think a perfect build tonight is probably like a wide receiver on each team, maybe 3 wide receivers total, 1 quarterback, and then a couple, maybe like Aubrey for example, then someone else. Like that's what a typical build might look like for me tonight. And here with like Zeke or with Slayton and stuff. I mean, this actually, the Daniel Jones captain one ranked number 4 there. That's not bad. I mean, I still would much rather have CD and Lamb though, obviously. But if you did want to leverage Lamb, that's probably how you would do it. I just don't know if I would do that captain without
Zeke
Lamb.
Captain. No way. Like we're not playing Zeke. I mean, if anything, it would be Dowdle. But let's all right, people. Let's ease up a little bit on kicker captain. Okay. I know we got Friday tomorrow. We're not there yet, but let's keep in mind, historically speaking, 3% of captain optimals, make up the kicker position, and this is including all games. Okay,
you got the data. By the way,
I don't have it. So we had the DFS gods on the baseball side bless us with an 11:20 or whatever Central time. So my time. MLB slate, 6 games, and it's kind of crazy because the season's almost over. You know how that goes. And so I have not had time yet.
Kicker captains and that. I was really looking forward to seeing if that was the case.
If there was a lot. I could go back in my own database and I could find that. Maybe I'll do that before I update it. But the other thing too is like we always talk about this. If you take, and I want to build this out to be able to do this, but with the quarterback captains, if you take out Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and even just those 2, Jalen Hurts, I would throw in there over the last few seasons. What does that do to kick captain QB? I bet those 3 account for a lot of the QB optimals, and you could make the same case with like kickers, with guys like Greg Zuerlein, a good example, kind of in the past, but obviously Brandon Aubrey as well. Justin Tucker maybe 3 years ago, but not the case anymore. So let me go back to this real quick and look at the flex. I still like the lack of, 48 CD doesn't feel good. We'll get into that though. 21% Malik Neighbors feels gross, like absolutely gross. So any other final thoughts, or should we build our script?
Let's go ahead and build our script. The first thing you notice too is these prices are real high. I think for the Bengals game specifically, I didn't feel the same thing about the Bills Jaguars, but for the Bengals game specifically, they raised the prices of all the players. And Eric All at 200 was a blessing on that slate because it allowed you to fit everyone. But you had guys like Brian Robinson was 9,800. Here, you're kind of seeing a similar thing where Neighbors was 10.8, Lamb was 11K, Dak's 10.4. It's not like it's week 1 or it's week 2 where these guys were much cheaper than they should have been, right? AP, like these guys are priced normally to what we saw last year rather than the start of this season.
More ass than Ice Spice or Sexy Red? Like, what are we like? It's one of those two.
What do you mean by those two? Ice Spice for sure.
Ice Spice for sure. I like that. Look, being there, Dak was fine last game. In the fourth quarter, he found something. Outside of that, yeah, he wasn't that good. But being there, you got to temper things a little bit. Like the Cowboys, I absolutely owned you guys last year. Come in with a little humbled. You got Malik Neighbors. Hopefully, we'll save the day. I'm on NFL Pro. I'm watching some of these throws from Danny Dimes, and this dude is throwing absolute dimes on a string to the opposing defenders. And Malik Neighbors just saving the day, like somehow going up over the defender's head and catching the ball. And he's only 6 foot, which is absolutely crazy to see. But the guy is a stud. And Danny Jones is what he is. He's not, I don't know. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. Like, is Daniel Jones like that? I don't think he's like bad. He has his moments, but I don't know if it's worth all the money they paid him. What are we doing at quarterback, though, Rubio?
I like both these guys, but I do think the projection on Daniel Jones is a little high, right? Like, especially if we're going to be targeting the running game a little bit. I just think script-wise, we're going to want a little bit Singletary. We're going to want a little bit of Neighbors. And I do think Daniel Jones could be the odd man out. And I think the biggest thing to note for Jones, he's been good, right? I actually think he's been very serviceable. Against the Browns, he looked good. And even against Commanders, too. I know the Commanders are not a great defense at all. But they had 3 touchdowns in that game. They should have won. They scored 18 points because their kicker got hurt. But the one good thing to see about Jones, 8 carries and 5 carries and 6 carries to start the year, coming off an injury, right? I was really afraid that Daniel Jones wouldn't have the same rushing upside. And it does seem to suggest that he will be able to run the ball a little bit. So that's one thing going in his favor. But I would still kind of bump him down to probably like a 16 or so, just because 17.4 is really high for Daniel Jones. Like, let's be honest. How many times did he hit that projection last year? Probably not a whole lot. And how many times did he hit it this year? Last game, he threw for 2 touchdowns. Played a great game. 2 touchdowns, 20 yards. Didn't even eclipse 18. He didn't even get 18. He played a great game. So I would be just slightly down on Daniel Jones. And I do think higher on Dak Prescott because this Giants secondary is banged up. Where you want to target the Giants is through wide receivers out wide. I think this is a Dak get-right game. I do think the Cowboys bounce back nicely, especially in the passing game. And I'm very high on Dak tonight.
Vincent must have been here on Monday listening to all my takes about the Jaguars. Unless he's just talking about actual cheeks, which is, who doesn't like talking about
He is talking about
actual cheeks.
Yeah.
Actual cheeks. Awesome. I appreciate that. You think so? I think the problem is one, these prices feel kind of cheap, and just going back, obviously QB captain is, let me look at it, a little inflated. 20% have 20% quarterbacks have accounted for captain optimals on the season. In the past, that number is right around 17%, 15 to 17%. And wide receivers obviously down a little bit. Pricing matters. Obviously, these game flows matter as well. And year to date, we're only 3 weeks in. So, I just think the pricing on some of these quarterbacks is definitely factoring in. So 16, 19, are you good with that? Or do we bump one of them up a little bit?
Give Dak a slight bump up. This Giants are down. Like you just saw Beener mention it too. But they're down 2 starting cornerbacks. They're going to be very hurt in the secondary. And I do think the way to attack them is through the air. And I don't see that changing tonight.
So let's talk running backs now. It's really interesting. So Dallas has obviously gotten torched on the ground. And Devin Singletary, he profiles as kind of like a bell cow back, and that's just a function of the Giants don't really have a lot of other options at running back. I mean, Singletary, 74% of the snaps, 56% rush share, 14.1 fantasy points expected per game is kind of my numbers around him. And then on the Dallas side, it's on like Rubio. It's honestly a mess. Like you have Dowdle, Zeke, and then Deuce Vaughn working in for like 8 to 9% of snaps. Dowdle 45%, Zeke 37%. Their rush share as a makeup of the entire team is somewhat similar, but no individual Dallas running back on my numbers has over a 10-point expected fantasy point performance per game. It's like 9.7 for Dowdle and 7 for Zeke, which honestly might be high. What are we doing with the running backs? As running backs so far this season have been king.
Yeah, when you look at the Cowboys backfield, right, it is very messy. And there's no coincidence, right? Like they got 3 guys who are going to have a role. Deuce Vaughn even got a little bit of carries late there in the second half, and even like a little bit of work in the passing game. The one thing that you can't count out with Zeke, he's always going to be the goal line guy. Like he is, no matter what. I think Jerry Jones could see Zeke with one leg on crutches and everything like that, and they send him out for the goal line work. So you have that touchdown equity with Zeke. I also think that if the Cowboys are up late on, I think it is Zeke who has the trust of the coaching staff to carry that ball, get the 3 yards of pop, and then punt it away. I just think that Zeke is going to be that type of guy. His props are low, though. The guy who has higher props, Rico Dowdle. Dowdle, for some reason, despite looking better in the eye test and everything, is just not getting much work, compared to Zeke. His prop, though, his rushing prop is higher than Zeke. The problem is I think he's going to have to do all his work inside the 20s. Their passing work is probably very similar. It's nothing like too crazy. But really, this Cowboys backfield is $6K, a little overpriced, right? I don't want to chase after him. With Devin Singletary, though, we just mentioned it, right? The Cowboys defense, especially against running backs, is the worst in the league. They allow the most on the ground. They give up the most fantasy points running backs. Everything is in Devin Singletary's favor. The role is clearly his. The key thing yesterday, too, or not yesterday, Sunday, he also had 4 catches for like 43 yards or 5 catches or so. He is also good out of the backfield in terms of with his hands. I think that we were so accustomed to this, Giants offense being incredibly bad, which they still could be. I don't want to say it's not, but Singletary is not a bad running back. Like I just genuinely think he's just good enough. He can be there. He's just fine at 8,200. It's tougher for him to be optimal. It would take a touchdown, in my opinion, but I do think that, I think I will play Singletary here at 16-16 is what we got his projection at. I think that's fair. And I would much rather him than any of these other guys. I mean, Tyron Tracy, I had high hopes on coming into the year, but he's still a rookie. Eric Gray wasn't a factor last game. I think, didn't Eric Gray fumble? I believe, which is also why I think it contributed to him not playing. But Tracy did get a lot of snaps. I wish he was more like Deuce Vaughn's price at 1,200, right? I would definitely take chances on Tracy if he was that price. But he is going to be more effective out of the backfield, too, with his hands. Tracy was great at Purdue. But really, it's Singletary, and then everyone else is kind of an afterthought for me here at the running back position.
I mean, talking Devin Singletary, you're talking 14 total touches against the Vikings in week 1. Yeah. Vikings, well coached, very good run defense, 3.7 yards per carry against them, 9.2 fantasy points. Honestly, like not terrible considering the matchup. And then every single week, it's just gone up. 17 touches in week 2, 20 touches in week 3. We know the path to victory here. I honestly like the Giants side too. Like I as crazy as it sounds, and maybe it's not like that crazy with some of these weapons. And if Daniel Jones can take care of the football, like a Giants win script, you got to be absolutely bullish on Devin Singletary. Like I think when I think about how do the Giants win, we got to have a big game. It's not just Danny Dimes to Malik Neighbors, okay? Like that's not going to get the job done. You got to establish the run and do what these other teams have done against the Cowboys, and that's all through Devin Singletary. So I think we got to be bullish on him. I think we're already naturally pretty bullish on him, and my expected fantasy point numbers doesn't take into consideration kind of game flow projections, and like I have to manually put that in. So like I'm already ahead of like my expected in like a neutral matchup, we are already ahead of the curve based on my numbers. I don't mind getting a little bit more bullish. What's your thoughts? Like, give me a range here.
Here you go. This is what Big T said. Tonight is Rico.
I like that. I'm with Big T on this.
Big T the honorary, a couple points up bump. The celebrity bump up.
We can't, we can't. Zeke sucks, man. He's terrible. We're not playing Zeke. We might have to play him a little in the utility.
But Mangone's pick 6 prop was high on Ezekiel Elliott, over 26.5 yards.
That's not public yet, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, we already put it. Oh man, you control Twitter though, right? Can we edit that or take it down?
We can edit that. Yeah.
All right, we're bullish on Dowdle. Singletary though, give me a range to Dallas has been so bad against running backs, and
I like it there.
No, we're going a little higher.
A little higher. All right, I like it. Let's be aggressive.
All right. I guess we'll get to who we think is going to win at the end of this. Yeah. I think the Giants are live.
I like 16-7. I think it takes them getting into the box, which I do think is a great possibility.
All right, let's go to the important position. So here's what's interesting. I've talked all season, at least doing these playbook write-ups, how the Dallas, they're kind of a one-dimensional team. It's let's get CD the ball as often as possible. That hasn't really been the case. I mean, obviously, if you're defending the Cowboys right now, you know what their game plan is. They want to give the ball to CD Lamb. So naturally, you bracket him. You basically take him away. Okay, and we see a lot of teams doing this. 2 high safeties take away the team's number one. It's kind of a standard right now in the NFL. When you look at the actual target share in relation to like the entire team, CeeDee Lamb 18.4%, Tolbert 12%, Mary Ferguson 19.3%, followed by Cooks, then Turpin. Turpin just an absolute bomb type of guy, deep ball guy. The thing that's nice though is Dak. He's throwing deep balls at a 14% clip, which is pretty high when you look at the entire market right now. In quarterbacks like Mahomes is not throwing a lot of deep balls, which their offense just isn't set up right now. They need Hollywood Brown to be able to do that. So with that in mind, and comparing those numbers to the Giants side, you get a much more defined target tree. Neighbors commanding 35% of targets, 58% of their air yard share, which is absolutely insane. It blows every other receiver away. Like no one is close to him, followed by Wan'Dale Robinson and then Darius Slayton. But I mean, you get the most clearly defined target tree on the Giants side. Well, on the Cowboys side, it's completely spread out, and it's absolute chaos right now, even though we all want to be focused on CeeDee Lamb. What's your thoughts on the receivers and tight ends?
Yeah, so I am bumping up all these. I'm very, very high on CeeDee Lamb. This is the get-right game. I'm one of the highest projected on the slate. I do think that Lamb just gets going. The secondary is weak for the Giants. He's my number one tonight.
He owns the Giants, too. He owns them.
He does. I mean, might as well. He's the owner of New York Giants there. I'll tell you this. When you look at last week, Brandon Cooks might be dusty now, too. I've been very unimpressed with watching the Cowboys on Brandon Cooks, but Jalen Tolbert is running a ton of routes, 44 routes last week, 41 routes for Cooks. A guy who I thought would actually have a bigger role was Turpin and Brooks. I guess that was just that fourth quarter where they had a big impact. But I do want to be bullish on Tolbert. A very low-owned wide receiver against a weak secondary. A guy who's going to fit in the game script of what I want personally, which is high on the Cowboys passing attack. I want to be over on him, right? Would it shock anyone if Tolbert caught a touchdown? Would it shock anyone if Cooks caught a touchdown? The answer is no, right? It's very clearly in the realm of possibility, and I want to be high on these pass catchers. I don't want to leave any stone unturned, right? You heard me about the running backs. I wasn't as bullish on the running backs. Well, that's because I wanted to be bullish on the pass game. When you're just trying to build out a script, especially if you're not doing 150 lineups, you're trying to just find that sweet spot, whether you're entering a 20 max or anything like that. Build something that fits your eye, right? And if you want to go down trying to cover every base, that's cool. I understand that. There's a lot of good players who can do that. But if you really want to commit to a script like me, I'm going to commit 100% to this Cowboys passing attack, and that's how they're going to kill the Giants today. Cooks, Tolbert, Lamb, all bumps up. I also think I want to give Turpin and Brooks just a slight bump up, and I want to do a max of 3 just in case. I don't want 4 of these guys, and I would only want 3 if I had Dak too.
What'd you say about Darius Slayton?
Darius Slayton, Giants
kind of wait and see.
Well, so his injury is a thumb injury, right? So I haven't seen a definitive word on if he is going to
kind of cheeks too.
Well, Daniel Jones does trust him. I do want to attack the rushing game a little bit more on the Giants side of the ball. The great thing about the Cowboys, right? You have all this hype around their defense and stuff, but in reality, against the pass defense, they're really average. I do think that it is like neighbors or bust in this backfield, but at the same time, Wandale runs from the slot every route. 29 routes last game. They're all from the slot. Like his floor is going to be fine at 4,800. Like that's a great price. I mean, we have him pretty high. When we get to Aubrey too, it's going to be discussion of I want Aubrey higher than anyone else in this range, and that's going to include Wandale too. So I honestly think Aubrey could have a double-digit projection from me tonight, AP, which we'll get to in a second. But this is that pricing range. This is why I bring him up, where it's like 4K to 5K, and he's going to be a factor in that range. One other note. Theo Johnson, 27 routes last game, had an end zone target, ended up not catching it. It was almost a one-handed spectacular catch in the end zone. I'm high on Theo Johnson tonight. 4.8 would be a good projection. We have like just bump 1.5 or so. He'll play a big role. I didn't mention Jake Ferguson, but I do like that projection 11.75. I think it's a very fair one there.
Yeah, we'll keep that on our guy Mary Ferguson. I'm just bumping some of these like scrub pieces way down. So that they're not going to factor in. Yeah, like when I think of attacking this Dallas defense and like what Kamara did and just, we got to be bullish on Wandale. I mean, they're going to move Malik Neighbors, Wandale Robinson all around. I mean, it's just what they're going to do. And then, Theo Johnson. I like that call. I don't mind it. Not a lot of tight end production against these two teams, but we haven't seen them really face like a tight end dominant team yet this season. I mean, Zach Ertz, he did pretty well last week.
He did good against the Bengals in the second half. I think he had 3 or 4 catches in the second half alone.
Yeah, and he against the Giants, he had 10.2 fantasy points. So I like that.
Give me a Brooks bump up real quick too. Just give him like 3. He ran 12 routes last game. They dropped back like 50 times, but Brooks, I think he caught a touchdown, didn't he?
It was a really. So I was high on Dak and Dak to CD.
He did not catch a touchdown. My apologies.
The key was Dak to one of his cheap dudes and fading CD and then stacking up other games, which I did not have. But Dak went off. I mean, he absolutely nuked. Yeah. All right. Let's get these guys out. Let's get kickers, defenses. So Aubrey, we want him what, 9, 8?
Give him a 10. I think. All right. I just think that he is the best kicker in the entire world, and they're setting him up from 67 or 71 yards.
Even on the road, outdoors. What's the weather like in New York tonight?
Isn't this in New York? Let's check it out.
73 degrees.
Beautiful.
Potential rain. Potential rain.
I mean,
47%. 47%. I'm just saying. I mean, everyone, because let me actually pull it up. So if we see rain, spotty showers, I mean, who knows? Like who knows? Let's go 9. Let's go 9-7.
Give him above Wandale. 9-8. Half a minute.
All right, 9-8. What about defenses? And I mean, the thing about Cowboys defense last season, they were insane. They were
against this incredible team. They were captain optimal, I think, in week 1.
Yeah. Oh, they were. It was a 5-1. I don't have it up, but I know it was a wonky 5-1. We just haven't seen that from them.
Look at the price on them. But like, I want to be bullish on these defenses. I think this is a good slate to get different, like where defenses are. I don't have the
turnovers. Let's get bullish on both, just to be different.
I do feel like the sharps, like on a slate like this, where look, the Cowboys defense won't be 6%. It'll probably be a minimum 13-14, but it's really easy to build out a 4-2 that's almost unique with just the Cowboys defense. And we know how erratic Daniel Jones can be. you're doing multiple lineups, I don't know if the Cowboys defense is a main lineup type of team where I'm just jamming them in, but like the Cowboys defense is really good at least forcing turnovers, and that leads to fantasy points more than anything. They give up 28 points and still be a very fine defensive score.
Being there, boots on the ground. Just walked out in a Speedo half jump. All right, little TMI. Are you fine with these adjustments right here? Bullish on. I mean, it's a Thursday. We like getting different on Thursdays. We think there's more offense. I think we have to be bullish on the Giants side too, just because the pass expectation for Dallas.
Aubrey
has to be
35% owned tonight. I think that's my guess.
All right. Well, let's see what the results show. Let's add our contest sims. What do we want to do? The main one. What's our?
I don't know if DraftKings is running this promo for anyone, or maybe because I've been such a fish over the last couple of weeks. But do the 3-3-3 tonight for me. The Wildcat. So it depends. Like I said, it could be because I'm a fish. We all know that. But if they're running a promo where I enter the 3-3-3. If I don't cash, I get my money back or whatever. I usually don't enter the 3-3-3, or I get another entry into Sunday's Wildcat. So I'm entering that tonight. Let's just check it out and see what it looks like for that contest.
Yeah, I did not. Is that just for you? The Rubio special?
It might be.
I know. I'm the worst at checking that. I'm the absolute.
See if you got it.
I know. I just said I'm the absolute worst at checking all that stuff. Like I hate the boosts.
Tony is.
No, I guarantee I am.
The first time ever he let me know about a DK promo first. I was shocked. It's not my promo. There he goes. He was checking.
No, it must be the Rubio special.
Yeah,
I mean, I told my guy, I'm like, I'm the worst. Like, you got to text me, or else I'm not going to do it. You know how many times I've not clicked my boost?
Oh,
just stupid. I told him, I'm like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Just go back to what it was. It was way better. But obviously, they make more money this way. All right, let's. Who do you got winning tonight?
Cowboys 31, Giants 21, 20, 31, 20.
Hold on, I gotta look something up real quick. Last 10 games. Dallas versus Giants, last 10 games. I know Dallas owns them, like absolutely owns them. Do I get? It's like it's like 9-1 over the last 10 games.
I think someone just posted in the Discord like
being there,
where it's like Daniel Jones hasn't won a game on a primetime, like that wasn't on a Sunday. It kind of reminds me of the Andy Dalton like jitters with the Bengals, where he never won a primetime game with the Bengals and stuff. There could easily be that thing with Daniel Jones.
Oh, I mean, I feel for being there. I absolutely feel. Oh yeah, we got our sims done. Let's do this one first, then we'll go to your 3-3-3. Let's see, and let's look at our captains. Let's sort by exposure. There we go. More Malik Neighbors. This is what I like to see. Dominated by Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, and then Singletary. I mean, and we got Dowdle in there too. We don't need the dusty quarterbacks in there. We don't need Brandon. We don't need dusty Zeke Elliott in there. Brandon Cooks is down there. I mean, he's fine. What's your thoughts here in what we're seeing for the captains?
Yeah, I mean, I love that one Brandon Aubrey captain there at the bottom.
I like this with the defense in there. I think that's pretty sneaky.
Well, especially against Dak, where we know he can turn the ball over a quick bit, and you want the wide receivers where you want that volume. I do like that lineup there in the top right. 3,200 Slayton's definitely in play. If Slayton misses, which I guess we should just mention, get out ahead on, Jalen Hyatt would probably take most of those snaps, if not all of them. But yeah, he's not very great. There's a lineup right there, ranked number 2. I can see myself running that one. That's a no QB build, which I don't love, but it goes into what we said. Right, I'm high on Aubrey. I'm very high on Lamb. It gets me the 2 best weapons on the Giants, and it kind of gets me defense, special teams. I would almost want a low-scoring script with that one. But if you can, let's get to a Dak lineup. There we go. Tolbert, captain. So, like I said, I'm high on Tolbert. Right? Why? Because look, the Giants are down a bunch of corners. Tolbert with Prescott. It doesn't have Lamb, but that's a lineup that makes a ton of sense. It's got 2 of the best 2 of the best weapons in the Giants there. Very solid. It's a very leveraging off CeeDee Lamb with Jalen Tolbert captain. Lots to go right there. And these lineups look good, AP. They might not have the quarterbacks as much as I would want, but they look good.
It's a pricing thing, 100%. Like if you're trying to get CeeDee Lamb and Malik Neighbors, which I honestly think is a really good route, it's going to be hard to fit another one of these quarterbacks. So
what does the Lamb captain look like with Dak? Like, if you can show me that.
Yeah.
Let's see what it looks like. This is for the $15 contest sim too. So it is our top correlate. So 26 out of the 150 teams that we have that with Lamb captain have Prescott. So look at that. That one has Theo Johnson. That top lineup, AP.
I don't hate this too.
Oh, that top one could be like a main lineup for me. If I was fading Neighbors, like, it has my value that I really like. It's got the weapons I want to pair with Dak. It's got CeeDee Lamb captain, and it's got Aubrey. What's there to hate? For me, it's not having Neighbors and Daniel Jones. Where, like, you're not having that pass game, but you got to take risks somewhere.
Here you go. I mean, this is we don't have what?
That's a Hyatt one. Where if Darius Slayton misses tonight, Hyatt is very much in play at 600. I didn't realize his price was so low at 600.
We're just missing being able to put in your boy Otter in there.
Yeah, 300 short. In week 3, for example, Hyatt only ran 5 routes. Slayton ran 31, so you could expect that to completely trend up. But yeah, if Slayton's out, Hyatt's probably the best value on the entire slate.
Let me look at one other thing real quick. Let me go back to Cap. I want to see Neighbors captain with with the CD. I just want to see what these look like.
So
these
one. There you go.
4-2. I like that. Slayton's going to be important. And who'd you say is the other go-to guy if Slayton? It would be who would be your guy if Slayton's out? Hyatt. Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry, Big T. Was Eric all optimal or not on Monday? Let me know. He was 200.
I mean, to be fair, like, this might be a cheapie. Like, if Neighbors and Lamb can do their thing, and
I do like this mid range though. Like, you're going to get Tolbert at potential single digit ownership on this slate. Like, I'm going to hop all over that. But if I did get Slayton out, like Hyatt, where I can just get 4 of the best players in the entire slate with Aubrey, I'd probably prefer that.
I don't even hate this.
That's
just with like. Well, no one's going to play 5-1 Giants except for B-Nair. Yeah, B-Nair's lucky. Then Giants 5-1. I don't hate how it sets up. We have a clear defined target tree on the Giants side. We know where the ball's going. In winning scripts, I could definitely see a 5-1 build be there. And 5-1s have hit on the season at a 24% rate.
Yeah.
3-3s, 28%. Over the last 2 seasons, we've seen 5-1s like basically hit more and more each season. I have no idea why. I mean, do you have a take on that, on why that's happening? I don't know if it's pricey. I don't know if it's just
I just think
game
it's
flow or
a lack of scoring is going to lead to more 5-1s.
Yeah.
I just think that the scoring down, it's going to make more sense that that's the case.
And if I'm running a 5-1, a Giants 5-1, I want CeeDee Lamb as like the main guy, because if you think of a situation where the Cowboys are trailing, coming back, they're going to be calling easy plays to their number one and just peppering them with targets. So
I also
we don't trust the running backs.
Yeah, like you're still committing almost 25% of your salary, or if not, just a little under 25% of your salary to the Cowboys. So you can look at it like that too. I always compare it that way, where you're still investing almost 12K into the Cowboys. It's just one player.
There, let's open this up. Let's look at your precious Brandon Aubrey captain builds.
Why does that look amazing, man?
I mean, I could be talked onto it. I could definitely be talked onto it. You know, what was the last slate?
What?
I forget what it. It was Aaron Rodgers. He hadn't been captain optimal in like 2 or 3 seasons. And what happened the last slate? He was captain optimal.
That one made me so upset too, because I was like, there's no way I'm playing Aaron Rodgers captain. And sure enough,
I mean, these check a lot of boxes because we know Aubrey can score. You need points though. You need for Aubrey. You need a lot of field goals, but you don't necessarily need points. You need the volume. The volume with maybe
realistically, I think he just needs 3 field goals and he's there.
I know, and if Neighbors and Lamb get the volume, plus 1 quarterback, plus Mary Ferguson in there. I mean, some of these builds do look pretty good.
You know, when you go to that top build too, And if you're wondering, so kicker captains do tend to funnel a tad, where a lot of people kind of end up on the same build if they're playing a chief or captain, right? A good way to get off it, I'm not saying it's perfect or anything, like Ferguson down to Tolbert or Ferguson probably down to Cooks because there's still a decent point difference, but that's a way to break up that chop. I don't know how many dupes it says it has, but I could see this lineup duping. Theo Johnson, if you went all the way down to Tolbert or so, you could also
I never trust the dupe number because like this. I mean,
it's one out of
no way. This would be definitely like one of the more popular kicker captains.
What was the field size that we did? 4,000, right?
Yeah.
So what it's kind of projecting, how many entrants do we have tonight? I think it's like over 100,000, right? 115,000. So basically it's saying
it's one every 4,000 builds.
Yeah, I think
so. Maybe like 12 to 16. 30 times.
Yeah,
because
over 100,000, 115,000 builds or whatever.
Let's pull up your 333. Is it the Wildcat?
Yeah, I imagine it might be more of the same. Oh God,
pretty similar. What didn't we look at? Let's look at
the second lineup real quick. Oh yeah, Rico Dowdle. Let's do that real fast. That's good.
Hold on, the second lineup. Neighbors.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't run Florida, but
I don't even know who this is.
Yeah, he was a preseason hero.
That's why I don't know who he is.
Yeah, well, I don't think he ran a route.
That's why I do the show with you, Rubio.
Yeah, he didn't run a route last week. He's definitely not in play.
All right, Rico Dowdle. There we go. I mean, these don't look too bad either.
What I like about it too, and I've talked up Lamb the entire time, right? But if you wanted to play devil's advocate, you still get a
build is so good. Like how is this build so good?
Yeah, like look at Dowdle's stats in the passing game too. I mean, I guess I shouldn't just dismiss it. 5 targets last week. He's also, I think, has 8 catches on the season. Like there's a chance he correlates well with Dak in the pass game. It's thin, but I mean, it's not the worst.
I guess I guess that's the missing piece too. I guess the names make it look good, but thinking game script, we don't have Dak. I guess last week it happened. He spread it around so much that you couldn't really correlate. Like CD with him did not make any sense at all. Nope. CD was terrible.
Yeah. I don't hate these builds at all. I mean, you go through it. I guess like Wandale could have a little bit more of a bump up just because we know what his role is going to be in terms of just he's going to catch a lot of passes. He's a very safe play. I like what Lee Price, you said earlier. I don't like cheapies because look at these mid-range guys, Aubrey and Wandale. You're exactly right.
I love this. All right, this might be my favorite build. Hunt and Benair. I mean, screenshot this right here. This is what you should play if you're Benair. You have the clear defined target tree, Neighbors, Singletary, Wandale. We know they're getting all the targets. If Danny Dimes has a good game, those are the guys getting all the targets. We have the run funnel and Devin Singletary that's just going to run it right up Dallas's ass. And then we have Aubrey and Dowdle as run backs. That might be my main tonight.
Yeah. So Diggs, not really a noteworthy cornerback to be locked down. He does get a lot of turnovers, which matters. But yeah, like that's just a note there. But yeah, I don't mind those. These 4-2 Giants, they're going to be much more unique than the Cowboys, and like they make sense. They just do. I like that one a little bit more too.
I might go all in on them just because I love the NFL. It's week by week, and it could be a CeeDee Lamb night. I definitely. What's up?
What do you think the score is going to be?
Oh man, that's just with how bad the Giants have gotten owned by the Cowboys. Like I want to see Giants win. I like Malik Neighbors. I think he's nice, and I think Giants win scripts will be a little bit more unique in Showdown tonight, and that's the route I'm leaning. So like a 24-21 type of game, something like that. No, we need more. It would have to be like 24-27. I want more points. What about you?
I'm 31-20 Cowboys, but I can be talked in on a little more Giants points. I just think the Giants secondary is just going to be exposed tonight.
Look at the amount of 5-1s that we're getting too. I mean,
yeah, and that's in line to what we have this season too. Like you said, 24% of the time we get 24% of 5-1s.
The 3-3, yeah. I don't mind this. 4-2 is typically the route that you want to go. That's over the last 3 seasons. That's what we see the most of. It's mind blowing. It's almost 50. It's 48% year to date so far in 2022. 49% the entire season, every single game, the entire regular season, not including week 18. I did not include that in the stats. 49% of optimal builds using single games showdown scoring as the format of scoring, 49%. So 4 2s hit the most, followed by 3 3s, barely over 5 1s this season. Any final things that we gotta that you want to hit on, Rubio?
I'm with these guys in the chat. I'm very much on Lamb captain tonight for my main team. I think I'm locked in on that almost. But the Brandon Aubrey one, it was a little fun to kind of see what it looks like because it does look really good. But Lamb captain is my guy. I'm with you. I do think, I love to dip into the cheapies as much as anyone. Hyatt would be the lowest I would go only if Darius Slayton misses. If he doesn't miss, the lowest I would go would be Theo Johnson. And even then, we got Wandale at 4,800. We got Aubrey at 5K. We got Greg Joseph at 4.4. Like this lower tier range is still really good. So I don't really want to forget about that completely at all.
Let me just see since we adjusted these projections, I just want to see what our highest scoring one or lineups is. So it's this kind of makes sense. We're bullish on the 2 wide receiver ones. And it's trying to feed us a $200 punt to make it work. Very difficult for it to happen. But if you find that secret $200 punt that somehow gets in the box, these builds can absolutely be mint. And they can be unique too.
Clarity. It won't be
somewhat unique.
It won't be Florida. I don't play Florida tonight. 0 routes last week, but I didn't see anyone with 200 guys.
It's forcing these 2 hundos in there.
I think
that's what
Ford Wheaton might have seen snaps. I mean, I don't really want to recommend that because I don't think
and this is why I'm not going to sort it by highest projected. This is why I'm going to use the risk adjusted return for what contest that I am specifically looking at. Let me just look at the single entry real quick. And again, I'm with you on the defenses. I think it's an interest. We know Dak's likely going to have to throw it a bunch. And we know Daniel Jones can be loose with the football. So I like both defenses.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Rubio, any final things? Any last minute?
Aubrey. Go Brandon.
So who is Brandon Aubrey going to be your most important player on this list?
What? I've never done a kicker, and I don't think I'll do it too often in the future. Brandon Aubrey, my most important player tonight.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna say it's a build type that's my most important. It's gonna be 4-2 Giants stacks is gonna be my most important kind of, in multi-entry formats. I'm on Team B there. Giants are gonna win 27-24 in an absolute thriller, and the Giants fans are just gonna be in absolute shambles. And Giants, you can't just continue to get owned by this team as hard as you have been. You gotta find a win somewhere. You're due. You're absolutely due. All right, Rubio, final thoughts or tell us about the other content that we have going today.
Yeah, so tonight, or today, I should say, you'll have the Print Factory, which Big T will be also talking up Brandon Aubrey, as you can tell by the chat today. That'll be at 3 o'clock. And then at 6:30, you'll have the Showdown Kings with JBC and Wiley. 3 o'clock, Print Factory at Big T and JSU. You'll also have the Showdown article, which is already up from Snyder, which is posted. You'll have the playbook up shortly, as well as Big T's player pool, 3-max strategy, and more, and with the core play. So lots of fun to be had tonight. Don't forget, basketball starts in less than a month. I think we are
28 days, man. 28 days.
Preseason basketball starts next weekend.
I won't be doing that. I will. If I dove into preseason basketball, I would be absolutely burnt out by the time the NBA gets here. So, correct. But I have already started looking at an NBA. I mean, always kind of, NBA radio on SiriusXM is even during football, before NBA has even started. Still, I think those guys do it the best. Like Scal in the morning with what's his name? I forget, but one of their shows, one of the best, and so they got the good rapport with each other, and it's a little bit easier to listen to. But NBA 28 days away. Obviously, we're going to have all of our normal content for that. Lots of shows later today. We got golf starting soon. We got baseball starting in 30, 35 minutes. A lot of playoff implications there. 6-game slate. 3-game slate later tonight. We'll have all of our content up for that. But as you guys all prepare for tonight's, what I think is going to be a thrilling game, we just want to wish you the best of luck. And for Rubio, I'm AP. Run, period tonight.